In 1987, television existed as a closed loop. Without social media feeds or internet fact-checkers to provide a second opinion, these synchronized broadcasts were the only source of information for millions of people at the same time. This diagram illustrates the hierarchy of that era. The system was a strictly one-way street. A few multi-million-dollar broadcast towers beamed a single, solid signal downward to thousands of passive homes. You watched what they sent, and there was no way to talk back. To interrupt that signal, you needed more than a simple antenna. It required highly specialized engineering hardware, an immense amount of physical transmission power, and a deep understanding of the exact frequencies the stations used to secure their airwaves. Because the barrier to entry was so massive, engineers and viewers alike shared a common belief: the airwaves were an impenetrable fortress. No ordinary person could touch them. On the night of November 22, 1987, at 9 p.m. in Chicago, station WGN-TV was right in the middle of a routine sports highlight broadcast. Millions of people were tuned in. Suddenly, the screen flickered. The sports broadcast vanished, replaced by this plastic-looking, deeply eerie mask. It was a crude imitation of the cyberpunk character Max Headroom, staring silently into the camera against a neon grid. The silence broke after a few seconds. A wave of distorted audio hit the feed, and the masked figure began mumbling nonsensical phrases about local media personalities, calling someone a frickin' nerd. In the WGN control room, the engineers panicked. They immediately began routing their signal to a different transmitter, trying to find enough power to override the pirate feed and wrestle control back to the sports desk. After 25 seconds, the station regained control. While many viewers at home assumed it was just a weird prank, the engineers recognized a more disturbing reality. Someone in the city had the technical capability to crack their security. Exactly 2 hours later, at 11 p.m., the hijacker struck a second network. This time, it was station WTTW, interrupting an episode of Doctor Who. This diagram shows the severity of the second attack. This pirate signal was significantly stronger, allowing a jagged frequency to aggressively intersect and completely swallow the station's main broadcast wave. The intruders had effectively locked the engineers out of their own feed. The footage on the screen was now far more chaotic. The masked figure laughed through heavy distortion, making jerky movements and strange moaning sounds against a spinning sheet of corrugated metal. Then the feed took an even stranger turn. The camera angle dropped. The masked figure bent over, and an unidentified accomplice entered the frame to spank him with a fly swatter while he screamed and laughed. This played out for 90 seconds across the entire city. Desperate to stop it, WTTW engineers finally had to manually kill their own transmitter, leaving the audience in total darkness. The intruders held the signal for a full minute and a half, broadcasting screaming and erratic behavior into thousands of living rooms. By doing so, they proved that the most trusted and strictly policed medium in the country could be instantly replaced with total, unmanaged disorder. The following morning, the FCC and the FBI launched a federal manhunt to track down the people responsible for the breach. Investigators built a profile of the suspects. They required a high-altitude vantage point in Chicago, advanced engineering skills, and likely multiple co-conspirators to operate the heavy equipment needed to overpower a major station. This map illustrates the FBI's triangulation, relying on overlapping radar stations to lock on to the rogue signal. But because it was a hit-and-run attack, the signal abruptly vanished after 90 seconds. The radar circles never had enough time to converge. Even with the full weight of federal law enforcement involved, the investigation stalled. The culprits had managed to disappear entirely. Today, we are surrounded by a constant flood of anonymous, chaotic digital video. But in 1987, the television signal was the only live stream entering the home. To take it over was to seize the total, undivided attention of the city. Decades later, the event is viewed by internet historians as a piece of proto-meme culture or an early work of cyberpunk performance art, a warning about the vulnerability of our systems that arrived years before its time. The attackers never asked for money or issued a list of demands. Their only clear motive was to demonstrate to millions of people that the figures of authority running the media were not actually in control. Despite the scale of the crime and the federal resources used to solve it, no one ever confessed, and no suspects were ever charged. the identity of the hacker remains unknown. The most successful hacker in media history made their point.